Welcome to the Missouri Woods and Water Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Thomas, doing the intro for tonight's show. Tonight's show is myself and Andy, and our guest tonight is Andy's nephew, Kelan Ernst. Kelan, well, it's a Tales of the Chase episode, so stuff happened. How about that? It's a cool story. It's an enjoyable conversation. Andy's known Kelan since he was born, obviously, and I've known Kelan basically that long. And it's kind of cool to see, him grow up hunting with Andy and his dad and his grandma and, just everybody who he's hunted with, kind of learning how to hunt throughout his life. And now he's kind of, for lack of a better term, on his own. He goes hunting on by himself now. He's 21 years old. So obviously he's been hunting by himself for a little bit. And, this story is crazy, what he was able to accomplish. So it's pretty cool. Kellen's not the most talkative kid in the world, but he does a great job in today's show, telling the story. So, we forgot to do sponsors before the show, so I'm going to do them real quick now, and then we'll get into today's show. So our sponsors today are Huntworth Gear. Use our code MWW15 for 15% off. It's going to be November 12th, I think, when this comes out. So, it's still been pretty warm. So all I've been wearing is my Durham pants. I wear merino wool base layer. And then I wear my Durham pants, I think it's the Durham long sleeve t-shirt, which is just a poly t-shirt. And then I wear my Shelton hoodie. That's it. That's all I've been wearing. I haven't worn anything warmer yet, and I've been fine. And in most of those days, I'm not even wearing the hoodie. So I just kind of take it with me just in case. Even the other night when I was in my saddle and my son was in a single-man stand with me, it was decently windy and kind of chilly. I just wore the hoodie, and I was fine. So it's going to get cold enough where the heat boost stuff will come into play, and that's where that stuff really shines. So check out Huntworth Gear. Black Ovis, use our code MWW10 for 10% off any of their stuff on the website. Great company, great online retailer. Check them out there. Camofire, download the app, get on it every day. Every day, new sets of deals come on every 24 hours. Can't remember what time exactly that happens at, but I think it's kind of like in the middle of the night type of deal. But every night they come and new deals, and this time of year there's some really good stuff to be able to find. They're also having all kinds of cool sales on Camofire, so check out the app and then jump on camofire.com too. On X, use our code MWW20 for 10% off or 20% off. Got to do it on their website. Got to go to onxmaps.com to do that, not on the app. And been using the shit out of it. It's literally, I'm on it all the time. And the 3D feature where you can exaggerate the terrain really helps a guy like me. I always feel like when I look at maps, it's one thing. And then when I'm out there, it's something different. I never, see what I think I'm going to see. That 3D feature where you can really exaggerate it has helped me kind of understand what I'm probably going to see when I get out there. And that was true on the lease that me and Micah and Andy are on this year. So check that out. Athlon Optics. Find a dealer near you. Right now, Explicit Outdoors is having a huge sale on the outgoing thermals for Athlon. There's 3 different models, I believe, all quite a bit off. You're talking like $400 to $700 savings, something like that. So awesome deals. Check them out, athlonoptics.com. Alps Outdoors, use our code 2024 WoodsWater, 2024 WoodsWater, 30% off. About half my hunts this year have been on the ground, and I've been using that tri-leg stool from Alps. Me and my son were both sitting in a tri-leg stool from them when I shot my deer at 7 yards a couple weeks ago. So Alps Outdoors came in clutch there. Zamberlan Boots, ZamberlanUSA.com. I run the Lynx, and I got a couple different pairs of boots from them. And I got the Lynx, I got the Leopards, and I don't remember the other ones. They're brown. The Crestas, I think, is what they are. I've got all 3 of those pairs. I find myself wearing the Lynx all the time. They're comfortable, and they got the BOA system, and that has been really nice to use. So that's what I currently run. Micah and Andy both run something differently. Micah got the Lynx, and he didn't like them as much as I think his Baltoros is what he likes best. But, different strokes for different folks, and they got options for everybody. Reveal cameras by Tactacam played a huge part in, us getting, being successful in our new lease. We were able to get intel really quickly because we got it late. We got access to the property late, so we were able to get intel pretty quick. What kind of bucks were there? What kind of deer were there? How were they moving throughout the place? And it, kind of helped us pinpoint where we wanted to be pretty quick too. So check out Reveal Cameras by Tactacam. Also, one of the cameras is on a major area where we walk in, and so Micah gives me a hello every time he's in there hunting, so it's kind of funny. And then lastly, our buddy Dustin Williams at Habitat Works. Give Dustin a call, 816-752-7390. Mention us when you call, get 15% off any one of his services. He's kind of changed up what he's doing, so call him and see what he can do for you and how he can best help. His mapping and planning service to me is the most important. He does burning, he does all that fun stuff, but mapping and planning from him goes a million miles. A lot of times you can just pay him to get some services there, maybe come out and show you what he would do, and then you can execute the work. Guy like me, that would be beneficial just because sometimes I don't know what I want to do, and if having someone who's as smart as him tell me what to do goes a long way. So give Dustin a call. He's a great resource. Also, check out our website, MissouriWoodsandWater.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Missouri Woods and Water. I think it might be podcast after that, but you'll find it. Our Instagram and Facebook, Missouri Woods and Water Podcast. On Facebook, it's the Missouri Woods and Water Podcast. If you search Missouri Woods and Water, you will also find it, but it's our old one that got hacked and we never got it back because Meta sucks. So anyway, follow us on those social medias. We don't really love them, but it does help us. So follow us on those areas. Go give us a 5-star review on Apple, whatever else, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us out a lot, and it helps us kind of stay at the top where people can find out about our show. So anyways, I think that's all I want to say. Let's get into our show with Kelan Ernst, this Tales of the Chase episode, which is awesome. And let's get into it. This is the Missouri Woods and Water Podcast.
Welcome to the Missouri Woods and Water Podcast with your host, Nate, and not Micah.
Fuck
Andy.
that guy. He never makes anything.
God, does he even show up to anything?
No, he's about as worthless as you, to be honest.
That's saying something. That's saying something.
Nate and Andy, and then our special guest, Kelan Ernst. I hate saying his last name now. You know that? Because there's another person I know with a very similar last name. Good buddy, Chad Ernst. And it's spelled very similar, and so I can't get the names correct anymore. So I always want to say Kelan Ernst now.
Ernest.
Yeah. So Kelan Ernst, which is Andy's nephew.
Correct.
Is on the show with us tonight because we're going to do I think this is actually our technical first Tales of the Chase this hunting season.
What would yours last have been?
Well, it wasn't titled a Tales of the Chase. And is it really a Tales of the Chase if it's us telling our story? Like we're...
Same concept, I guess, but sure.
But technically, this is the first one. So congrats, Kelan. You're
first guest killer of the year.
There you go. First killer.
You.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I know that you're the most talkative person in the world. So it might be hard to get you to shut up during this.
Yeah.
We're going to try to keep this one in 3 hours.
But yeah, so I killed mine October 25th, and then was it just like the next day or 2 days later?
Halloween morning.
So it was,
right.
I guess, 5 days later. You killed this buck we're going to talk about today, and obviously it's a beast of a deer, and it's just cool because, I did it off the ground, and then we won't get in too much detail, but you might have done it off the ground too. So it's just kind of cool that, you're getting some deer killed that way now, and you didn't hear about that before. I mean, nobody really.
To me, there's two stories that, like you said, kind of back to back that you don't
see that.
I don't know, in my opinion, people just don't do that. Like, there's some old timer stories. It's a one-off type deal. It's
Not anymore.
They're accident type situations to where your 2 stories were not accidents.
No, that was the plan, right? And it's kind of funny too, because like I didn't think you could get much closer than I killed my deer from, but you might have actually been closer than I was. Which is, we'll get into the story, but before we do, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and I forgot. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I know where you were born and raised. So you were born and raised in this state. So you're gonna answer what your favorite thing about the Missouri outdoors is. Also, after you introduce yourself, and go.
Okay, my name's Kelan Ernst. I'm from Higginsville, Missouri. Born and raised.
Whoop whoop.
And
Go Huskers.
That's right.
Missouri outdoors.
What's your favorite thing about the Missouri outdoors?
Just in general, just why you like it.
I just like whitetail bow hunting, really. I've tried duck hunting, turkey hunting. None of that stuff really sticks well with me. I try them.
They're fun,
but
there's options.
Yeah,
right.
I think we get that answer a lot.
That's the common theme is that you tried a little bit of everything. Missouri has a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, the common theme to that question, it sounds like people always answer is we have so much to do in Missouri.
Yeah.
The broad range of stuff.
Because, I know people that could give a shit about whitetail hunting and they like turkey hunting.
Yep.
And, there's another podcast that, we're friendly with that talks a lot about fish. Like, that's all they do is fish.
I think Kelan got into bass fishing for a while.
Yeah.
And, like, a guy like me,
fishing.
I could give a crap about that. It's just interesting, the different things that people like. Andy, myself, Micah, and a group of us, love coyote hunting. Other people don't care. It's just kind of, what's cool. So, I know your background in hunting because I've known you since you were smaller than me.
Yeah.
Which was until you were about 7.
Just saying something. Know him for a while.
And so, I kind of know your background. I saw the pictures of, when you were a kid going for some of your first hunts with Andy. I don't know, like, all the details, but was, like, his first first buck with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I remember seeing a picture. It's just
that one was funny, a little bit funny, because like then we would split. His sister would go with one, like the night before he killed that one. His sister went with me, and he went with his dad. So then the next day we switched.
Right.
Kellen went with me, and she went with him. Well, we thought we had seen a deer walk into this brush pile. Me and Riley did, and it never came out. Like, where did it go? Next morning, me and Kellen, same stand. This deer walks from that direction. There's no way that deer stayed there all night. Can't be. But that's the way this deer came.
What it appeared to happen.
He walked in this opening, and we're kind of coaching Kellen at the time. He's super young. Get ready. He walks to this opening. We didn't get a shot. So I start getting ready to say, okay, when he goes to that opening, like pointing out the next spot. So right in the middle. Okay, when he goes to boom, he just let it eat. And I just remember he just let it eat, smoked it, and I think he still owes me for that one because that was the biggest deer I have ever drug out, and it fell down into a creek.
Oh, damn.
And it took me, his dad, and a four-wheeler, I think, to get that sucker out of there.
How old were you? Do you remember?
7 or 8.
He was pretty young.
Yeah. So during youth season, I'm guessing, or was it during, right?
I think it was youth season.
Yeah, youth season.
I'm assuming they had that back 10 years ago, or however long ago that was.
Yeah, I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Well, that's only because it was like 5 years ago. What are you, like 20 now?
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, so
2012 maybe, something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I remember seeing that picture, and it's just kind of cool. You make memories with, that's how those memories get made out there. Andy, your dad, your grandma, like all these people put the outdoors in you, and it stuck because you're out there doing it on your own.
Yeah.
And but bow hunting, when did that become something that you enjoyed doing? Because everybody starts out with a rifle, I feel like.
Yeah.
Most of the time, right? Like that's the natural start is kid goes out, especially in Missouri, they go out youth season with their mom or dad, whoever, and that's how they get their start. That's how my sons are getting their start. They're also, archery hunting, but it's with a crossbow because they can't even pull back enough to really be dangerous yet. So, like, when did you start saying, hey, I want to start pulling this thing back?
Well, I got my first bow when I was probably about 15. I think I got it for Christmas. Still run the same bow, Triax. And I've been going bow hunting with my dad since about as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
So
just going out and sitting with him.
Yeah, I just sit on his lap and just the Millennium one-seat stand.
I could feel that. I remember right out here, making Caden climb that tree, and he's terrified the whole time. And I'm like, you'll be fine, you know. And you get up there and you're like, that was probably a bad idea. But, you know, it's the memories made, you know. Nobody. But did you die? That's the whole question, right? Did you die?
I remember going with my mom when I was a kid and sitting on a 2x4. Like, we're 16 feet in a tree, and I'm sitting on a 2x4. That's it.
Yeah.
Is that same stand she still hunts?
Very similar to it.
Yeah.
Very similar to it.
So you started doing it on your own. You started shooting on your own. You got the Matthews Triax, which Micah would be proud of.
Oh, yeah.
I know that he used to have that.
That was his, yeah.
And he liked that thing. So you still shoot the same bow as you started with. But there's no reason to change. It's a good bow.
You got new strings on it this year?
No, I did not have time to do that.
You talked about it, I think.
Yeah.
So what? So this, you started at 15. You've killed some with your bow, right?
Well, I shot one deer. My first deer was a 10-point. I want to say it's probably about 140, 145.
It's a good deer.
That's a hell of a deer.
But we never did find it. We quit walking about 50 yards from where he was dead.
Oh, damn.
So some loggers ended up finding him, and they didn't want to give him up. So I lost that first one. Second one, suffered from a ground shrinkage on that one. About scarred me.
You'll have that.
Yeah. And so this would be the third one I've shot. And,
With a stick and string.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is awesome. I mean, because you're young. You're 21 years old. You've been bow hunting for 6 years basically, and you know you've had, well, at this point now, 3 opportunities in 6 years for a young bow hunter. I mean, that's actually pretty damn good. That half the time that you've been out in the woods, you've shot a deer, right?
Yeah.
First one you didn't get to recover. Second one suffered from what you call ground shrinkage. I say, screw that. It's fine, right? Still ate right.
Yep.
And then this one, obviously. So, you got a average of every other year, at least, on average, making something happen, which is pretty good with a bow. And there's a lot of people who I didn't get started bow hunting until I was older than you, 24, 23. I was just graduating college, and I didn't see a deer with my bow the first 2 years. I'm like, how do people do this with a damn bow? This isn't possible. That thing's 150 yards away. If I had a rifle, I could shoot it right now. I didn't think it was even a deal. So even to, by 21 to have, 3 dead, it's pretty awesome. So, so this year, so the property you killed him on, let's talk about it first and kind of paint a picture of what it looks like. And then we'll talk about, what was going into the year, but talk about the property itself first. No addresses, none of that stuff, but just kind of paint a picture to the listener of what it was like, what you were hunting.
Okay, so it's got a pretty decent amount of timber on it, but it's mostly row crop. And so originally I was hunting this one deer. I call it a triple split on this G2.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of got a kicker and a split at the same time, so it's kind of like a tripod coming out of his G2.
Mm-hmm.
So I had him showing up about once every 2 weeks over the summer, and that was the deer I was going to be after.
So that was the one that you were kind of targeting. You
Yeah.
had pictures of. That was the one you were after.
Yep. And so I went to go hunt him one morning, and I woke up late, believe it or not.
No. You've got Humfeld blood in you.
Yeah.
There's no way that's true.
So I came flying down the road, and I pulled into the spot where I always park. And I stopped, throw my truck in park, and I looked to my left, and there he was standing, staring right at me. I was like, gotta be kidding me.
So what do I do with my hands?
So I decided just to
Hello.
drive away.
That's pretty smart.
Yep.
So he didn't really worry about anything. He just somebody pulled into the place and left.
Yeah, so I got out and hunted the rest of that morning in this buddy stand we got out there. Try to rattle him across the road. I think he's seen enough of what he had to see.
Right.
He wasn't going to make that mistake. So then that following day, I was trying to put out more cameras and try to figure out where he goes. But there is I don't know what's the correct word to describe it. It's like a peninsula of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of goes out into the neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So I hung another camera in there because I know that they make scrapes all along that.
So it's
tree
almost
line.
like this. It's almost like a finger of timber. Might not be a finger wide, but like a finger of timber that the row crop surrounds, or it comes out of like a fence line, goes out, and the row crop kind of goes around it. It's on three sides.
Yeah.
It's weird, because it's on so all the timber on this farm that we farm is on like the complete opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's talking about is on the other end of this farm, and there's a fence line that comes off of the neighbors and runs towards our farm.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of this fence line, there's like an indent into this field, and it's probably maybe a half-acre horseshoe.
Kind of like the letter C or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like this little half-acre, little half circle up there
circle.
that belongs to the property that we farm. And again, we farm maybe a half acre of it, and then there's 10 yards of timber on each side of it that make this weird
little
shape
peninsula looking deal. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
So yeah, I hung a camera in there, which over the summer I went ahead and broadcasted some turnips and clover and stuff like that in there, which actually grew pretty good. So, as I thought, they did have all the scrapes all along the inside of this field like they normally do. So I threw that camera up. I actually ended up getting that triple split back on camera. And the buck I shot this year, he showed up too.
Now, when he showed up, were you like, oh, okay, so now there's two? Like, was that the first time you seen him at all?
Yeah, that was the first time I seen it.
Never during the summer? No, nothing in velvet. That was the first picture you got.
It's always different bucks than what you get on the main heart of the farm up there on that cutout.
So when you saw that picture, were you like, oh, all right, I'll kill you too?
Mm-hmm.
Was he like, obviously I've seen a picture of the deer, so I know he's good.
Yeah.
But, there are some people that, like, the triple weird deer, what do we call them? The triple what?
I call them a triple split.
The triple split deer, like, that's all I'm thinking about. The year I was kind of hunting reptile, I had other good deer, and I ended up shooting one of them, but it was like that was the one I wanted. So, some people it's like, well, he's cool, but triple split, that's all I want. But when you first saw him, it was like, all right, you can get it too.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
I knew they were both
Smart
going
choice.
in there. And I know what else would show up.
It was like the day after you bounced them, wasn't it?
They showed back up on camera?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, that's good.
So let's see.
So you got him on camera. You saw triple split was back on camera, and then you also saw this deer.
What do you call the one you shot?
Call him the acorn buck.
Acorn buck? Okay.
Yeah. He's kind of got like a golf ball sized lump in his G2.
Yeah. It's like a knuckle looking thing in there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's an injury that happened during velvet or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I would
Could
say.
be. Yeah, I would guess so.
So he was pretty unique. So I decided on Halloween morning I was going to go in there and hunt. Because I thought for sure that triple split would show back up. I figured it was just only a amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really the only secure travel corridor for them to get back to the big timber that's on us.
Right.
So he almost has to pass through there.
And is access not easy for you as well? Like, do you have to travel quite a ways? Like, is it hard for a human to physically get there?
No, it's just walking through wide open field.
Well, that's the problem.
I mean, there's no cover, but
yeah.
But he has. I mean,
so
you just gotta play the wind.
So evening sits are not easy there because you're going to be walking through a wide open field during the day.
Yeah.
So really the only option, not that you probably can't do it, but that if something's in there during the day, you're in trouble.
Right.
but obviously in the morning you're walking in the dark,
Yeah.
unless you're Andy, and
me too.
oh, I forgot my release back at the house.
That's happened a couple times.
But so anyway, Halloween morning, which is funny just because I haven't hunted a Halloween in 17 years now. Like, my daughter's 17. I haven't seen a tree stand in that long now. It's just kind of funny. I don't even think about Halloween anymore when it comes to whitetail hunting. And I won't for at least another probably 10 more years.
Yep.
So
I'm with you.
Anyway.
It's one of my favorite days to hunt for right now.
For now.
It is.
Yep.
Typically. Until it ain't.
Till something is grabbing at your coattails saying daddy.
Yeah.
So I woke up super early. I think it was like 4:30 in the morning. So I was going to try to get in there early and try to figure out. I brought a saddle with me for the first time.
So you borrowed your Uncle Andy's saddle.
Yep.
Which
is now
more than
you
I have.
officially used it more than Andy.
Yeah.
I'm just not a saddle guy. Like, I don't know.
Well, you can't say that if you've never tried it.
Yeah.
I need to get you to come with me to the new property sometime. Go hunting with us and use it.
Yeah.
It does say, and we'll talk about this, Kellen, because I definitely want to talk to Kellen about it. It takes some getting used to, I think, at first. Like, I was just like you are.
Well, mind you, a guy who's never used it explained it to him.
Exactly. Like last year, I wouldn't use it. Micah had already been using it 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I wouldn't use it because I'm like, I haven't practiced. I don't have any trees in my front yard to mess with. Like, I don't. And Micah's like, dear Lord, let's go hunting together. I will go to your tree with you, show you how to do it. And then, well, by the time I got up that first time, I'm like, oh, all right, that wasn't that hard. Like, that was pretty easy. And then the next time you do it, you get faster. You go, oh, I would like to do this next time. This will make it quicker. Next time you do it, you're like, oh, if I come over here, it's really comfortable. It depends on how the tree sits. And before you know it, you're like, I can see how this is nice because it's just fast and light compared to, if you're like Andy, I know still or used to use climbers quite a bit. How much a climber weigh?
Oh, the one I have is heavy. It's an old man climber.
Which, you're a large dude, not a problem for you, but me, like, I hate having weight on me. I'd rather just get somewhere. So you took saddle with you for the first time, and you decided to do it in the dark, which is even crazier.
Yeah.
So did you have an idea, like, what trees were there that you were going to pick, or you were really just kind of, hey, I'm going to try to figure this out in the dark,
Well, I knew there was trees there that I could set up in. I just wasn't for sure about shooting lanes.
Right.
Which that was my biggest concern. But the way it worked out and the way the wind was, I could set up in a pretty good tree line that didn't have a lot of obstacles in my shooting lane where I thought I'd be shooting the deer.
Mm-hmm.
So
what was setup like for your first time?
It wasn't bad, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a trophy line. Those are the double mini sticks, it looks like. Do you got daisy chains on them, or are they the straps? Straps. And then it's is that the ED? Is that the one that's got the curved platform? No, I think it's the Mission. It's the larger one.
It's just straight.
Yeah, so it's the Mission platform. So pretty easy to get up there. You got set up, felt pretty comfortable. Like, had you practiced at all, or was that the first time?
I went out the night before with my girlfriend, and we tried to figure it out. And she's just down there on the ground freaking out. But
I can see that.
Yeah.
But you didn't. But did you die?
But did you?
Really, what's nice is, and I'm going to be telling on myself a little bit. I never wore like a lineman's belt climbing trees before when I would use, like a hang-on stand or whatever. I just like climb the tree, and then when I got set up, I put my harness on.
Yep.
So that entire climb, I was at the potential of falling, right? And, probably not smart to do, as a person. Well, with these, what's nice is, you have your saddle on, and then you got your lineman's belt. You put it around the tree. It's easier to hang your sticks because you got both hands now. I don't have to, bear hug the tree. My short little ass arms, usually I'm up against the tree because I can't reach them around anyway. It's just nice. You can work, and you go back up, and then you tie in. So you are literally safe the entire time.
I think it's nice. A lot safer than like a self-climbing stand.
For sure, yeah.
A lot safer.
Well, the self-climbing stands obviously can fail. You've heard stories like the bottom come out from people. Didn't you have that happen once?
Yep.
I thought so. And, you're not technically tied off. You're just kind of at the mercy of that. And then, folks that have run and gun setups that are running, hang-on stands like me back then, I just climbed. Should I have had a lineman's belt on? Yeah. But what's nice is the saddle kind of almost makes you do it because that's what you're using to hang is your safety harness. Like whereas a hang-on stand, you have to put on a safety harness outside of the rest of the items. And this is built in. So it's kind of nice. And I still use hang-ons and that sort of stuff, but from a run and gun standpoint, I'm sold on the whole saddle thing. So you got up there. What did you think when the sun come up? Like, were you like, hey, I feel like I picked a pretty good spot? How high up do you think you were?
I'd say about 20 foot probably.
It's pretty good. I usually don't get much higher than like 15 tops, I'd say. And I'm shorter than you, but I don't really care, to get up way too high. So for your first climb, it's pretty good because, trying to figure out the spacing of things.
Yeah.
So sun came up, you were good to go.
Well, sun came up and just kind of looking around, I felt pretty confident with the setup I had going. Had the first two bucks to show up was actually the buck I shot and this younger buck. So the younger buck was getting chased by the buck I shot. They came flying in over the hill. And then...
Did they come from the east or west?
They came from the east.
The little dude was getting chased by big dude.
Yeah. But little did I know there was a doe with him, which come to figure that out pretty late in the hunt.
Found that out later?
Yeah. And then another smaller 8-point came into the makeshift food plot I had in there.
Mm-hmm.
So they showed up probably about right as the sun was coming up. And it was just a game of cat and mouse. That little buck just kept going up to him. And the only time I could see him was when the buck I shot would run him off and then run back. And that little buck would just kept circling back and going back in there and just kind of pissing him off.
And you couldn't see him because he was he in that tree line behind that brush pile? Like what?
He was just kind of in this thicket along the fence line, and you just couldn't see him.
Couldn't see into it?
No, I tried rattling, grunting. I mean, he was getting pissed off. He started grunting back.
Really?
But he wouldn't leave because little did I know that doe was in there.
Yeah,
it all made sense.
And it's amazing once you put that puzzle piece together. Scorpion, the big buck I killed at Grandpa's a couple of years ago, I watched him in a patch of timber with a doe, and I knew she was with him at this point. I watched him in there I knew he was in there with her because I watched them go in there. Never saw him again, but the whole reason I knew they were there is because a young buck was outside of it just like pacing, and then he'd try to go in and he'd run back out, and he would just, and I'm like, he's in there with her. You got to know it. Looking back now, that little dude would run off, and then you grunted at him, rattled, he would grunt back, but he's not going to leave her.
Yep.
Knowing that now, it's just like, it makes so much sense.
But
at the time, it's probably pissing you off, like, dude, come on.
Yeah, that smaller buck, though, he was on a mission to figure out what was going on, though. I mean, he made several laps around me.
Well,
licked on my tree sticks.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's funny. Dude wanted to die for some reason.
Jeez.
So then he went ahead and bedded down about, 10 yards from the bottom of my stand.
The younger buck.
Yeah. I still couldn't see the bigger buck.
Did you? I guess you still knew he was there because you could see really if he left or not.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So you knew he was probably still in there.
Yep.
But you just didn't know where he was specifically. Now, and about how far was that area that he was in from where you were sitting?
I'd say it's about 25, 30 yards.
So right there.
Yeah.
He was right there. You just didn't know where he was. He could have been right on the edge of it. He could have been in the middle of it. I don't know where he is. I just know he's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And this thicket he's describing is like this thick, almost CRP-like grass.
Right.
You know, when I went and helped him later, I can understand why he couldn't, because it was thick. It was straight down this fence line from him.
Mm-hmm.
But
so it makes it hard to know what's going on. But that younger buck actually probably helped you, even though I wouldn't have loved him being bedded down 10 yards under my stand because, you know, busting you and stuff. But you knew something was going on because he was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just kind of helping get him fired up, but just not fired up
I can almost guarantee you as soon as he got done shooting the big buck, the acorn buck, that little dude tried getting after that girl. I told you that story with Scorpion, right?
Yeah.
As soon as he died, that little buck was mounting that doe. Like that. He tried to, at least. He did not successfully make it happen. But it's just kind of like, hey, good on you, buddy. You tried.
all right, well, he's gone, so
He's out of the picture. Anyway, so okay, so he beds down. That young buck beds down 10 yards from you.
So I waited till that buck left, and I gave him my final rattle, and still nothing. He just would not come out of that thicket. So it was getting later on the day.
I'll back up. I get a text message at 9:30. Hey, I got this buck. And he sends me a trail cam picture, bedded like 20, 25 yards away from me. That's what I got. I said, oh, man, like, that's not the one you've been after, but that's a dang good deer. Like, what are you going to do? Radio silence.
Sounds just like his uncle.
Well, I was trying to come up with a plan. I asked my dad. He said to just wait it out.
That's what I would have said.
Which is not a bad plan.
Yeah, then you get to thinking about, like, McDonald's breakfast. And I got a Monster and some beef jerky in the truck waiting on me. So it was a windy day that day, and we just got quite a bit of rain.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are the odds that I can just sneak up there and just shoot him?
Very little.
Getting down out of a tree in an item that he has only used once now.
I would have said straight 0.
Yeah, I would have been like, dude, that.
Because you got to lower your bow. I don't know. Did you bring a string for your bow, or did you like put it on your pack or something?
I brought a string for it.
Well, and hold up.
But
was the young buck still there?
No, he actually ended up leaving.
Okay. I was going to ask you, like, what did he do when you rattled one more time, being that close to you?
Oh, he went for another victory lap or whatever.
That's funny.
But
yeah, like all the stuff you have to do to get down, like you try to be quiet, but even the most quiet hunters, sometimes it's just, that banged on something, or, when I lowered my bow, I lowered it right into a bunch of leaves and it just, or whatever.
Yeah, I actually carried my bow out down the tree in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that saved a lot of noise there. I slowly climbed down.
About what time, though?
I think like 11:30.
So
and
that deer had been under, like, bedded down for probably at least 2 hours.
And you're just assuming he's there at this point.
I'm just assuming he's still there. I was
right. You don't know for a fact that.
Unless he snuck out the backside or something.
Right.
So I hop down. I walk really slow. I'm kind of wait till the wind picks up every time before
Take a step.
Yep. I get down there. Walking. I still can't see him. Like, man, he's gone. And then I see his horns just right through this thicket of brush.
Like, did they move, or you just happened to pick them up?
I just happened to pick him up.
That's pretty good.
And his back was facing me, and he's looking the opposite direction. So
at this moment, how far is he from you?
Probably 15 yards.
It's right there.
So I crouch down, and I'm thinking, how am I going to get this shot off? Because there's a limb coming through and a bunch of sticks and stuff. I don't want to risk shooting through it, making an unethical shot on him. So I was like, I got to get closer. So it took me probably about 10, 15 minutes. I was going to try to sneak around and see if there's another way to get around to get over top of these sticks to shoot him. Because the year before, we were in there cutting some trees down, and I thought about just standing on top of a stump and trying to shoot over these sticks.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was creeping around that way, I look up and I'm just making eye contacts with this doe. And I'm just like,
Now back up. Before you did that, am I not mistaken? You made a phone call.
yeah.
Did you call in an order for
You were how
McDonald's?
far away from this deer?
Probably about 10 yards.
Who'd you call?
I called my dad.
Hey, I'm 10 yards from this buck. What should I do? I can only hear your dad right now. Shoot it?
What do you mean you're 10 yards from the? Why are you calling me?
Yeah, I always give him a play-by-play anytime I go. So,
play in action plays it, yeah.
so yeah, I make eye contact with that doe. I just kind of hit the imaginary elevator. And I slowly sink down to the ground. It's act like I wasn't there. She bought it, though.
Are you serious?
She bought it.
She didn't bust.
I was like, this is over. I'm gonna look like
How
an
far was
ass.
she from you? 10 yards also?
Yeah,
Like,
10, 15.
and she did not bust.
She didn't bust.
She didn't have your wind, I'm assuming.
No.
She just saw you.
Our winds were just kind of going parallel with each other.
Right. Wow. You
So
don't
I'm
see
like,
that
yeah.
very often.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm not going that way. So then I was like, my only option is I just got to get closer. So I got to go.
So I tapped the doe on the shoulder, said, "Can you move out of the way, please?"
Take a step to the left.
Yeah. So I had to go under a branch. So it took me probably 30, 45 minutes to go from like 10, 15-ish yards to get to 5 yards.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky. The only thing, all the conditions were in my
And
favor.
it's not like you were trying to get closer just because you wanted to get as close as you had to. Like, that was the only way you were going to get a shot off on him.
Yeah.
Was to be that close because of all the crap in between you and him.
Yeah. And, of course, I had to get videos on my way because I knew no one would believe this. So it was just every time the wind picked up, I would put my foot down or break some sticks out in front of me, careful with my hands. It was a slow process.
Gosh, that would be.
Oh, my heart was pounding.
There's no way I have that much patience.
I think I'd just take off running and hope for the best.
Oh, my hip was cramping. I was like, can't stand up.
Dragging a leg through this mud.
But then when I get to about 5 yards, I'm just thinking about where to put the shot.
Because he's laying down.
Yeah. Then the whole thing, I had it all planned out, and he stood up. My mind just went blank. I'm like, oh, crap.
Oh, God.
What do I do?
I'm assuming you had an arrow knocked.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, you're like, this isn't how this plan was. I just worked for 30, 45 minutes to get here, and you were not supposed to stand up.
Yeah, so he stood up, and I'm down
Did
on
he stand
one
up because
knee.
he was spooked or just...
I think he kind of had an idea that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Just kind of his instincts.
I mean, you were literally close enough to pet him.
Right.
Yeah. I thought I was going to get busted multiple times sneaking up behind him. But he goes to stand up to switch where he's laying.
If you say he lays back down, I swear.
No. It looked like he was going to go lay back down, but somewhere else. So when he does that, I can't just stand up and shoot because he's just going to bolt like that. So I was on the wrong knee to shoot off my knee. So the knee closest to my bow and where I draw was up.
Right. So you would have been opposite.
Yeah.
It'd have been like shooting with your
that
right
would've
leg in front.
Yeah.
You know, you're right-handed, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
like a normal person. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's only a couple special...
And it'd be like when you're shooting like with your right foot up and your left foot back, right-handed.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to do.
It was just backwards. And then I'm trying to get my release on the D loop, and I look at it, and there's about 20 leaves stuck to it.
On your release?
Yeah. And then I completely forget how to shoot a bow. I'm like trying to stick my eye up to the my peephole without even putting the string on my nose. I'm like trying to look through like the scope. I had a plan, but once he stood up, everything went out the window.
So I took the arrow right off my bow and stabbed him.
No.
Because he was 3 feet away from me.
His brother said, "You had the perfect chance to kill a deer with a knife, and you didn't do it."
I was close, but I don't know if I could get that close.
Yeah, it'd be something different.
So I kind of slow down and control my breathing a little bit, and I'm like, okay, you know how to shoot a bow. So he's getting up, he's walking, and he's quartered away pretty good. So, and there's like some weeds in the way. So I'm like, all right, I know his outline and where he's at. I know where I got to shoot. And I had to aim a little bit lower because I made this mistake in the past. The deer I quit tracking about 50 yards early.
Mm-hmm.
You got to aim lower than because you're not at 20 yards.
I mean, I hit a little, as I was somewhere between 5 and 10 yards on mine, and I hit him a little high because it was right at last light, and I thought he might have been a little further away than he really was, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I can understand why I hit a little high. So, yeah, I mean, you're at 5 yards using a 20-yard pin. That arrow barely is out of the bow.
Which I still didn't even get a pass through.
That's crazy. By the time it comes out of it's barely even out of the damn string, and it's entering the target.
Yeah. It's point blank.
Like literally, yeah.
Execution style.
So I'm like, it's going to happen now or it's never going to happen. So I line it up, try to get a little low, let go, and just that sound where it just hits right in the boiler room.
And he was still quartered away.
Yeah.
So honestly, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least, you can put it a little further back and bury it into everything.
Yep.
What broadheads were you shooting?
I was shooting a Muzzy hybrid.
Okay.
I thought I'd try something different.
So that was first year using those?
Yep.
Gotcha.
That worked pretty good. Ended up getting some lung and some heart. And he went tearing out of there, and I thought he went back down the hill towards the farm, which I was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome to try to find him. But he actually went right into the bean field, the neighbor's bean field, and just crashed out there. And
Did you see him crash?
No, I did not.
No.
I just came around the bend to see if I could see him going up over the hill back towards the farm. But then I look in the neighbor's bean field, and he's out there. I know I got a good shot on him because he's out there. He's taking real deep breaths, but he just couldn't get no air.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I got him good.
You just standing there?
Yeah.
How far had he run? Like once you hit him to when you saw him just out in the field standing there, how far do you think he had ran?
I want to say it's probably 40, 50
so
yards.
So he barely ran and was already like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah. And there wasn't a blood trail, but there was a trail of weeds he took bulldozing out of there. So
did you watch him go down? Did you, he was standing there, so did you just wait for him to die out?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I mean, obviously it was not going to last very long, especially if he got part of the heart.
No.
So
it was over.
I would say less than a minute, couple minutes tops.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's always nice, it doesn't sound like you had much of a blood trail either, because your arrow didn't pass through. So I'm assuming you hit opposite side shoulder.
It had to have been.
Yeah. I say I glanced off of it just from, I'm assuming.
Up and down, was your shot pretty good? Did you aim low enough?
Yeah.
So, but with that arrow being in them, it's just difficult for blood to come out. And now mine, I shot a little high, and the arrow also didn't pass through. It kind of did, but not really. And so, he didn't bleed, but he also died in 50 yards. So, you're like, I'll take those odds. I can probably find that deer in 50 yards. Yeah, obviously you knew where he was, so that's kind of nice too.
But the weird part is the arrow didn't go all the way through, but when I got to him, when I recovered him, my arrow was just on the ground. So I don't know if it hit that shoulder blade and kind of backtracked out of him.
It's possible, when he fell, it popped out where it came from. So there wasn't an exit hole anywhere.
There's just a little pinhole out the other side.
That's interesting.
So I don't know what happened.
but dead.
He was dead.
Did the doe take off at any point in time, or she just watched this whole thing and be like, "What an idiot"?
She went somewhere out. I didn't catch where she went.
Dude, she's diabolical. She knew Kelan was going to kill that bastard, and she let him do it. That's what happened.
I see you, sir. I see you.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, sir.
Yeah, he's right there.
That's diabolical.
Asshole won't leave me alone.
She wanted the younger guy.
That's right.
Story of my life. I'm just kidding.
So then, what, you called me about 12:30? It's like, he called me. I was middle of the day, whatever. I was just joking. I was like, well, did you get him? You know, just bullshitting.
Right.
Yeah. Yep, got him. I'm like, wait, what? You did what? Yeah, shot him at 5 yards. All right, you're fucking with me. I'm pretty sure I said, you're fucking with me, aren't you? Like, you're not. No, you didn't. No, yeah, I did. And he starts telling me, like, a little bit of the story. I'm like, holy crap.
Damn, son.
So I ended up going out there and kind of helping him, and I called the guy who farms the farm that he died in just to see if we could drive a truck out there. It had rained, inch and a half or so.
Yeah.
But he's kind of luckily just right on this ridge. It's pretty dry. So, and he hunts too, so he came out, checked out the deer with us, you know, and thanks to him letting us kind of drive the truck over there and made it easy for us to get it out.
Right. It's always nice. So, explain them a little bit. So, like, our Tales of the Chase episodes, we try to give as much, as many flowers as we can to the animal that died. You know, like, this is just as much a tribute to the deer as it is, a story that you have. So try to explain him to the listener. We're going to post a picture of it, but try to explain him on here. Like, explain what this deer looks like and, what's so cool about him. You already kind of talked about his name being the acorn buck, but kind of explain what he looks like.
Okay, so he's a 9-pointer. He's got 4 on one side and then 3 on the other. Or, I'm sorry, 5 on one side.
5 and 4.
Yeah, there you go.
That Higginsville math.
Yep.
He didn't count the brown signs.
So on one side, be on his 4-point side, his G2, he's got a big acorn, probably about, halfway up his G2. Which I'm assuming is an injury that happened from velvet, or not sure what happened. So it's pretty unique.
Yeah, could have been a point that was growing or coming out. And
it doesn't even look like a broke off point. It looks like arthritis in your knuckle type deal. Like
yeah, just like super
like this big
large joint.
Looks like there's a knuckle in his tine. I don't know. That's pretty cool.
I haven't seen any other deer like that, I don't think.
Other than that, is he pretty typical?
Yep.
You know?
You don't have any extra points or nothing like that.
Is he tall? I was going to say, I remember the picture and I thought he was tall.
He's not super wide, but he is tall.
Tall, yeah.
Yep. He's got decent mass.
I thought, he had a good mass. I'd say he's probably 4.5, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because he had, he's starting to get that darker color in his antlers.
Yeah, well, and that's what I noticed on yours, like compared to mine. I would guess ours are about like both 4-year-olds is my guess, because the 2 racks to me looked similar as far as they weren't both 8-pointers, but basically kind of an 8-pointer and tall, not real wide, but just tall. But yours, based on the pictures I saw, was a pretty dark rack.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this deer lived in the woods. Like he didn't stay out in the open a lot. That's what I've always noticed or he rubbed on like cedar trees, trees that can color the rack. Whereas my deer had a little bit lighter rack, which would suggest he's out in like CRP more often. Didn't do a lot of rubbing, on dark trees.
Sunlight hidden.
Right. Bleaching out his antlers. And I love those dark racks.
Yeah,
like
it's
just really cool. So was it really chocolate? I mean, was it as dark in real life as what the kind of the pictures show?
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty dark. He's not as dark as what my trail cam pictures showed.
Right.
But I'd say he's on the darker side.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, and
sorry.
No, go ahead.
He carried this mass in his tines too, which I thought was cool. It's not just like his main beam and stuff, but like his tines were thick.
Right.
I thought that was kind of, I don't know, pretty neat. Because a lot of times you leave that main beam and they get spindly pretty quick.
They get short or skinnier as they go up.
I felt he just carried it. I mean, his tines were thick.
Yeah.
Just a thick rack deer.
That boy thick.
Super pretty rack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, you just don't hear about, like Andy was saying, you don't hear about that sort of story. Number one, killing bucks off the ground is, first off, it's a rush, which I can now say that. Right now, I had that encounter with Evil Eddie a few years ago where I could have killed him at 5 yards, but I couldn't shoot him because he wasn't technically a legal deer anymore in this state or in this county. And now I guess it is the state. I guess it's statewide point restriction. Somebody told me that, but I'll have to show you that. Has he ever seen that video?
I don't know. It was a couple years ago.
There's a deer out here that had to have been like 10 years old. We knew him for 3 years.
Yeah.
And every year his rack would get smaller, and it just, by the time I had that encounter with him, all he had was 2 main beams and 2 G1s. One of them had broken off, though, that year. So he just looked like a demon. Like
an old school cartoon bull.
Yeah.
With the 2 horns coming out the front.
That's all he had. And they were 20 inches, they were 16 to 20 inches long.
Just had his main beam.
He just didn't have anything else.
You'd hate to watch a deer like that pass.
Well, and so it's somewhere around Halloween. It was raining. I was hunting out here in the rain, and I felt like I was out of the game. Got down, moved, and he comes in, rakes a tree, and walks around and comes to maybe closer from me to you, right in front of me, and I'm videotaping it because I can't shoot him. And the whole time I'm thinking, this sucks.
Yeah.
Because that is an old deer. I'll show you the video. He had really hangy brisket. His belly was real hangy. He had a growth off his cheek, like a big old.
I forgot about that.
Remember that?
Big tumor looking thing.
And just everything was gray and Roman. And I'm like, I can't shoot you.
And those are the ones that you're really after.
And that deer wouldn't have scored 60 inches. I mean, but it would have been an awesome.
That would be a trophy.
Right. But so the fact that you were able to do this off the ground, number one, is one of the cooler parts of the story. And then the patience.
Is what gets me.
Because, I felt like a lot of people would have been like, screw it. Let me just stand up and take a shot through this timber or through these trees or whatever, all the little limbs that you had down in front of you. Let me thread the needle. I'm not walking 10 feet in 45 minutes. Essentially, if you walked 5 yards to get from 10 to 5, you literally walked 15 feet.
Yep.
Because the wind was starting to slow down.
So it was getting a little quieter, too. So you're 45 minutes to walk 15 feet. That's just mind-numbingly boring. But luckily, there was a big-ass deer that you kept your attention on. Were you worried about her at all, during that?
When I first seen her, I was. But I don't know how she didn't pick me up. I mean, there was a little bit of sticks in front of her face and whatnot, but I don't know what caused her not to just blow out of there.
It's probably him. I mean, I would assume he had been breeding her already, or he was gonna breed her at some point, and you ruined all that for him. Poor guy. Hope he got one in there before.
Yeah.
Before he took the dirt nap.
Slipped a little bullet in the chamber.
Hope he passed it on his genes. But so that to me, that's what is so cool about the story is, you did that now, and also, I had just done that 5 days before, and then, you don't normally hear of someone, that doing something just as cool, if not crazier, because it was even closer than you were. So, it's just kind of one of the deals.
You had your kid with you, too. And that's
I did. I had
crazy
my
to me.
11-year-old.
You had 2 people sitting on the ground.
But we didn't go stalking a deer. He came to us.
Right. But that's still
that's
a mature deer.
Level.
Right. You're on their level. You had an extra set of hands with you that made it even harder. That's a crazy story by itself. And then a couple days later, you stalk a deer.
Yeah. It's another version of craziness.
The old bow hunting ninja over here.
Yeah. So you just call us the Missouri Woods and Water Ninjas over here, right? So, that's awesome. And triple, what's his name again?
The triple split buck.
The triple split buck, as far as you know, is still alive.
It's been copyrighted now. It's been coined.
Yep.
It's still alive. So here on November 16th, you can get back after him.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'm
If
bored.
he can keep his little brother off of him.
I went hunting tonight with Micah because I'm bored as hell. The problem is with daylight savings, now when my boys get out of school, by the time we get out to one of our hunting spots, it's like we got an hour, which I'll do, but also wrestling practice, basketball practices, like you got like maybe one day that you can squeeze it in, and then if that's the right conditions. So like I'm not able to take him as much, but this weekend I'll have him out, but I was just kind of bored, so Micah, we had been getting some activity, so I was like, dude, go hunting tonight, I'll come with you. And I texted you to see if you could come, and I'm a farmer, I can't do it. I got the kids.
Sorry for being a dad.
Yep. You know, so it's just like, I'm like, it's nice being tagged out, don't get me wrong, but you're just kind of like, boy, it'd really be nice if they'd move rifle season in the middle of the rut again.
No, getting new bucks show up on camera.
Oh, do you?
She's getting me fired up.
Yep. So that's awesome. But, congratulations, man. I mean, an awesome deer, awesome story, and it's just kind of cool. You know, for me, like, I know you, but I don't know you super well. I've known you since you were a kid, but, you know, you're not the most talkative person in the world, and, you know.
Far from it.
I'm not around you all the time. So it's just kind of cool, though. But I do know Andy talks about his nephews all the time. And he's, you know, Kelan does this.
All the time.
You know, Braxton did this and blah, blah, blah. And so when he told me about that, I'm like, no shit. Like, he's got to come tell that story. You know, we might have to pry it out of him, but he's got to come say this. Yeah. And you did a good job, by the way.
I did the best I could.
That's all that anybody can ask for.
It's just a cool story. I mean, you just don't, you know, I've hunted since I've been 8 years old. So, I mean, almost 30 years now. And you don't hear that type of stuff. Like, and for especially two people that I know have done it. Actually, me and your dad used to have a bet that you can't kill a big buck from the ground. And I went after to do it one year. I had a ghillie suit. I had everything. And I shot one, but I lost him. I just couldn't get a good shot. I ended up losing him. Neighbor found him. But the only
other person that I've ever known that has shot a buck from the ground with a bow is Russell.
Yep.
And that I remember the family was over there because he was in high school, because I wasn't even a hunter yet. I don't believe. I wasn't.
We were at like a family reunion or something.
It was at their house.
Yeah.
And he had went hunting, and it was snowing. If I remember correctly, it was snowing.
I don't remember those details.
And Russell's probably listening to this right now being like, you idiot, you're getting this totally wrong. But I feel like it was snowing, and he was sitting on a log.
Mm-hmm.
And that deer just walked right by him and shot it with a bow.
I've killed plenty of deer on the ground with a gun in bow range.
Right, yeah.
Which, you know, it's how it happens.
It's just as interesting, but...
Well, there's a lot less movement to pull a gun up and shoot.
Right.
But I've never, like that one time I had that bet with your dad about it, and that's been it.
Yeah, but, and not a lot of people hunt that way either. Right. I have talked about it on our show many times where I do like hunting from the ground, especially like the property, like out here, I hunt out here. There ain't 5 trees out there worth of shit to hang in, right? Like, you know the place. Yeah. There's not a lot of good trees to be in, but there's a lot of like thick brush, so you can disappear in there. And so I did a lot of ground hunting out there. I've done a lot of ground hunting at the other family farm that is probably not much of a farm anymore as far as deer go, just because there's not really any trees, but you can get in the brush in a ditch. And so I like ground hunting, plus it's freeing. Like, you can sit anywhere. You don't have to find this tree right here. You can be anywhere you want. So if you want to be 30 yards over there, you can be 30 yards over there. But then you ever get that feeling when you're on the ground?
I'm always in the wrong spot.
Damn, I wish I could be 10 feet up in the air right now. Yeah. You know, that's the only thing that gets me, is every once in a while, like tonight, me and Micah were on the ground. We only had an hour. So I just like, dude, taking our stuff. Like, I just get on the ground somewhere. Tonight, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is cool. It'd really be nice to be able to see what's over there on the other side of this multiflora rose or whatever.
But I've shot the biggest deer of my life off the ground.
Yeah.
Yep. Sitting in a chair.
Yep. With a rifle at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and which is not, it's cool, but it's just a different thing, man. I don't know. I don't get it. Especially now after doing it. It's a rush. So, Congrats, dude. That's awesome. Good luck. Starting November 16th. This will come out before that still, so you'll still be sitting around twiddling your thumbs along with me before then. But good luck on the 16th, and try doing it again, I guess.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Go 2 for 2.
Be nice.
Yeah. You going to get the boomstick out?
I'm going to have to.
You could wait till after. Go bow again.
No.
Well, he can use his bow during rifle season if he wants to. He just has to use his rifle tag. But that's difficult. Like, that's the biggest thing that
I could walk to work too, but I don't want to.
Remember the year I killed that deer out here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to take my bow. Like, there's nowhere to shoot more than 40 yards right here. And Andy's like, if you take a bow out there, I'm going to smack you. And I ended up shooting him at 35 yards.
He would have shown up at 60.
Exactly. But, yeah, it's hard. Like, it's a, when you grew up hunting that way, like, it's kind of like, man, I got to take the boomstick, But
it's tradition.
Well, Kelan Ernst, good luck and congratulations. And got anything else? Any parting words of wisdom?
I don't think so.
Man, it's the best wisdom I've heard all day.
Hey, I like it.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you for having me on.